Good morning, everyone. We're so glad you're here. I'm Susan Finch, and I'm here with my co-host, Stepan Hovnanian, and we are in our third of our If I Had a Nickel series. And remember, If I Had a Nickel is, if I heard it one more time, when our clients come to us with these sad tales of woe, that's why we started this, to try and address some of that pain. And today, Stepan is going to introduce our special guest. We have a big crowd here today, guys. They are really excited to learn about analytics, and I'm excited to learn more from our guest expert. Stepan, take it.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, Susan. And we didn't have any nickel shaking jars or dollars or anything, but I got to be honest with you. If we're adding these things up with how many times, we wonder how these things go, and wonder, what can we do with our analytics? What can we do with these beautiful, pretty reports? But there's more to it than that. I think we'd be probably touting a $20 bill at this point. So, there we go, guys. And yeah, again, the whole idea is to help you build a smarter online presence for yourselves, so that all your time, all your money is all, it's actually doing something for you and for your business. And we figured we'd do it during the summer because everybody comes back after the break, all guns blazing, ready to go for the end of the year. So that's the cyclical nature of our business. We figured we'd share it with you and get you guys a little bit of intel over the course of the summer. And without further ado, I want to invite David Kutcher from Confluent Forms. He's also this month's top help outs or featured help outs provider. He has a help out on analytics, actually. So I think after this, if there's anything missing, I'm just going to cheap plug him right now. Go over to his help out page and set up an appointment with David, so that you guys can really get in some one-on-one. But in the meantime, David, thanks, buddy, for coming. And let's just dig in, unless you want to, I don't know, do a little intro yourself. Or I'm against like the whole, not against it, but
you wrote a great intro. It's all good.
Okay.
Let's just dive on in.
Diving on in. All right. It's always like, hey, let's put the guy on the spot and tell him to tell us all about himself. Yeah, that should be the host's job. So, and you know what? To that extent, if you look in the event description, we got a whole thing on David that he wrote. So there you go. We're good.
And at the end of the show, we have our little checklist that'll recap some of this stuff. Stepan, you brought some great resources to that. So folks, we'll put a link in at the end of the show for you. So you will have that as well. And let's just get into this topic.
Definitely. So
we had pain points this week with clients.
Yeah, why do we need these things, right? Let's just start super basic. Why do we need stats and analytics, webmaster tools? How does it all work together?
Sure. All right, well, so why do you have to start paying attention? You just spent a whole lot of money, went through a whole big endeavor, getting a new website launched. You put it up there. You have no idea really how successful it is, except for when someone actually buys something. So having analytics gives you insight into the success or failure of aspects of your website. It allows you to use really good business intelligence to figure out, well, how can I improve upon what's already been created? How can I make small adjustments, perhaps, that will make it so that it's even better at catching the fish? What can I do, and how can I look into how people are using the site and gain intelligence so that down the road I can do better things with it? It's one of those things where you could be dumping tons of money and effort into your website and not really know whether your money and effort is being wasted or not, or whether you could squeeze an extra 10% out of it without, with just doing little things. So that's where having that insight through your analytics and webmaster tools really provides you with that value.
I'm wondering too, I've heard some clients, when they come to me, they'll say, oh, well, my server host has analytics built in, and isn't that good enough? And no, because I've seen comparing the two reports and all the junk that comes through. It's very false reporting from some of those sources. How is it different with, what does Google do especially? I know there are a lot of sources out there, especially if you're using CRMs and things, but with Google, one of the things I like is it knows to filter out the bots and those types of things.
So there is a difference between server stats and analytics. So analytics runs on the client, it runs in the browser, and it runs on browsers that have JavaScript installed on them, which is almost every major browser now. So whereas server stats are all these hits, so like you said, bots, automated scripts, spiders, things that could mimic the behavior of a user but aren't actually a user. So that's the difference there. But also, Yeah, it's easy to say, oh, well, there's charts over here and charts over here. What's the difference? They're just charts. And that's kind of missing the point of all of it. Analytics, there are other competitors to analytics, but analytics does a really great job of being able to go deeper than just here are charts. People get waylaid by the bounce rate, page views, sessions, and those surface level charts, and ignore the stuff that actually will be giving them really good intelligence.
Yeah,
and I think.
Go ahead. You go.
Oh. I was going to say, back to your original question, what's the difference between analytics and webmaster tools? Analytics is what happens on the client, versus webmaster tools gives you insight into how your website is performing within Google's search engine. So it allows you to see, okay, well, am I showing up in the search engine? What percentage of people are clicking through my links in the Google search engine? What keywords am I being found for? What does Google think of me? Versus analytics, which is, what are the people that are in my website actually doing and clicking on, and how are they behaving? And that's kind of where the segment is. So that's why using the two of them together gives you both great insight into how your site is performing in the largest search engine, which probably accounts for 80% of the search market and likely 50% of your own traffic, but also analytics gives you that insight into what they're doing once they come to your website and how they behave and everything else. So that's kind of the difference between analytics and webmaster tools, and kind of how you use them together.
I'll throw like a little sidebar on there too. For those of you who do AdWords, I don't personally, but I know that you can also hook your analytics up to AdWords. So if you're spending money to drive traffic, the whole thing is, whether it's search or advertising, you're trying to drive traffic to your website and then figure out what's going on when they get to your website. And so the analytics tells you that second part, and being able to actually connect your Google Analytics to your webmaster tools, which tells you what's going on in search, and to your AdWords, which tells you what's going on with your advertising that you're doing all your keyword research for and whatnot. You can actually trace that complete path from the start all the way through, whether it's a conversion or somebody drops off or whatever, and you can make more informed decisions that way about spending money, and also where to put your effort on search, or maybe even just your own website. Maybe you see, okay, we got a lot of people, we're doing our job bringing people to the website, but then something's not working, and so and we learned this because of looking not just at the stats or the bounce rate or whatever, but we said, okay, that's a great starting point. What's next? What does that mean? And I think that's probably a good segue to the to the kind of like, what do we do with all this information, and maybe whether it's examples or just some of your favorite tips and things to look at. Let's talk about, like, what do we do when we've logged in, we've connected everything up, we've got all this great clean data. Now what? Like, what are we supposed to do when we hop into analytics?
So I like to call my approach the magic 8-ball approach. Like the little kid story where you ask it a question and gives you like some ridiculous answer. But essentially, it's the same thing where I like to approach and have clients approach their analytics with a question in mind. What's the business question you want to answer? And if you approach analytics with a question in mind, then you're able to actually get through all of these different reports and all these different everything, and actually get to the meat of the matter, what you're trying to find an answer to and what you're trying to improve upon. And without that, it's just charts and stats. So going in there and saying, okay, well, I'm looking to find if I can improve my conversion rates to people signing up for my mailing list. So I'm directing people, what if I do this? If I move it here, will I get a better rate or a lower rate? Am I losing people along the way to a purchase? Is it because, if I look at my funnel, which is one of those things you can find in Google Analytics, I'm losing people at my shopping cart page because it might not be set up correctly, or it might just not be user-friendly. So you have to approach it with questions, and that's kind of my main way of looking at analytics and trying to teach my clients to look at their analytics also. Approach it with a question in mind. And from there, you'll derive, okay, well, from this, I can see, what if I do this? And you can start asking follow-up questions.
It's part of the planning for call to action pages. Whenever Stepan and I promote these shows, we always have somebody go to our mailing list page and sign up. it's a great way to track why are they abandoning there. And to truly, like you're saying, look at that page and think, well, this is great, but they're all leaving before they do what we want them to. They're not getting the next step in the page. So what is it about this page that they hate? What are they not finding that they were hoping to with those search terms or whatever they were using? Where are we letting them down? Because that's basically what it is. You're giving them some search result. They have high hopes of gaining some information. They get there and it's not what they want. They leave. And the analytics are so valuable in giving you that one huge piece of information, well, two of them, where are they coming from to get there, and why are they leaving?
Well, it's not only just like where we're letting them down, but where can I do better? You know, like they might be coming to that one page, loving it, and then leaving. And it's not because you did a bad job on that page, but you did a bad job personally in terms of moving them to the next step, the goal for you, as opposed to the goal for the users. So the user came there, they accomplished their goal. They read a great article that you wrote, but you didn't follow up with your goal, which was to move them to your email sign-up form, or to get them to follow you on Google+, or to do all these other things. So it's, you know, you have to think about it. Well, I'm getting them there. They're loving the page because I see they're reading for 5 minutes, but then they're not doing the follow-up step. You know, how can I improve that follow-up step? So it's an improvement on what you're doing necessarily, as opposed to, you know, if you look at an e-commerce way, that might be a failure to complete the purchase. But it's not always about that. It's sometimes just, how can I get a higher percentage? How can I get more people to fulfill their goals and my goals?
I want to throw something else out too that is super important for what David's talking about right now. You know, people come to different parts of your site for a reason, and usually from different places, right? Different channels. So if you promote, for example, if you have a blog and you promote your blog very actively on social media, you got to think about, okay, people are coming to my blog from social media. They know a little bit about who I am already, because otherwise they wouldn't be following me. Or maybe I was endorsed by, you know, through a share by somebody else that person knows. There's already that first touch point. And now they're coming to my blog. They're hopefully interested in what I have to write. And, you know, now what do I have to do? So that's a different type of person that's coming to your website than, say, somebody who's coming from search, even to a blog article. So if they're coming from search to whether it's a blog article or an about page, you know, these guys may be a little bit more qualified, or they might, you know, there's just something different about them. So, you know, you got to think of your website as it wears a lot of hats. I mean, it's a receptionist, it's a marketing agency, it's an IT person, sometimes even point of sale checkout. There are a lot of different hats that it wears, and everybody comes to it from a different, you know, in a different position, looking for different information. So you have to look at the analytics side of things, you know, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we could put you could put a filter on, if you're looking at, let's say, a page, one of your blog articles, and you could put a filter and say, okay, I want to see what happened for people that came in through social versus people who came in through search. Did they behave differently? And if they didn't, then okay, that's fine. And if they did, then I have to start thinking about how I want to handle that, because now two different types of people coming to the same page, I got to figure out what to do. I got to handle that differently. Otherwise, you know, I'm going to maybe lose some of them, or just at least not deliver the best experience to move them to my next goal, which right. I think was probably one of the best nuggets anybody. I hope you guys all paid attention right before I started talking. David's point about, you know, knowing giving the user getting what they want, and then you getting what you want is, I think, just like right there. That's the golden nugget, platinum even.
It's understanding and breaking down your audience into audience types, and then it's understanding the goals that each one of those audience types has for the site, and your goals for each one of those audience types. And they do have to intersect for it to be successful. You know, it's one thing if you're giving everyone their success, but you're not accomplishing what it means for your site to be successful on your side. You know, like, yeah, we all have to earn revenue of some sort. We all have these goals that we need to accomplish, as well as being able to give them great content to read, but if it's free, that doesn't help us. You know, it has to be that both sides get their goals accomplished. And that's where a successful website comes in, and that's where these analytics and webmaster tools do help you try to figure out and optimize both sides of that story.
I agree. Bringing in a little bit of a case study, I don't know. A reminder for folks, those of you, we talked about this in the green room, those of you that are getting new sites designed, it's so exciting. It's very exciting to get a new site, to refresh, maybe even switch platforms. Maybe you had some Drupal site and you're switching over to WordPress or vice versa, or whatever you're doing. Don't forget before you go live to make sure that you've brought over your code. When you sign up for analytics, and I'm going to dial this back for just a minute. When folks, you sign up for analytics in your Google account and you get AdWords like we're saying, or maybe AdWords, but you get Webmaster Tools and your analytics and you have this nice little package, you'll get some code. And your webmaster needs to put that code into your website. That's what makes it all work and talk to Google. And if you don't have that in there, you can't collect the stats. So it's one of those little pieces that when you just move from one to the other, that's an easy thing to forget. So make sure if you don't know how to do this, ask your webmaster, hey, did you bring over my analytics code? And make sure that it's there when you launch so you can continue collecting all that great information that you'll get from these resources. So that's my little PSA.
Okay. Yeah, I know. And I'm guilty of that. I've gotten the call, hey, what happened to our stats? Oops, sorry guys, give me 2 minutes, we'll fix it. So maybe you lose a day or so, but yeah, check your stats and check your forms. Don't forget to check your contact forms when you migrate your sites, because a lot of times, same reason. A lot of times you either leave it out or that code is set up to maybe go to the webmaster or somebody like that. And this is totally off topic, but since we're talking about migrating and those little checklist things, there's little mental notes. So yeah, check your forms and port over your stats code. Don't forget. So there we go.
Favorite charts.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's hop back into.
I know, but the favorite charts. I have my own favorite charts. What are your favorite charts?
I love anything that starts with a landing page. I hate the page views, the session counts, the average time, the bounce rates. If you look at that chart, they're great at giving you no good information. But if you start looking at landing pages, that's where it starts getting interesting. Where did people come into my site? And then start breaking it down, like, oh, and what did they do once they got to came in from that site? And how much do they like that site? What did they do next? So learning where people are coming into my site, I find the most fascinating chart to start with. And kind of my whole story starts from there in terms of how I look at my users and their success or failures, both for them and for me. I just love looking at landing pages. So whether it's social, landing pages from social, landing pages from search, the funnel rates of where they started from and where they ended up, I think that user path holds the most fascination for me. So yeah, I basically have like a whole dashboard of landing page starts and breaking those down and trying to understand what each kind of user experienced as they went through the site and where they wanted to go next. Because then I can go, okay, well, if that's where they're all seeming to go, why don't I really optimize that first page for that path? And why don't I really talk about that path, because that'll just improve that user experience. And then it kind of all keeps going. Yeah, that's my favorite.
I like watching you light up. I mean, you can tell you're passionate about this, but you truly
I have fun doing
love
it.
that part.
I really do. I think I sent an email to a client yesterday that said, I know that I'm a data junkie, but, and that was the introduction to the whole discourse on Google Analytics and everything else, which I know usually bores most of my clients to death, but in this case they went along with my story. But yeah, I find it fascinating because there's so much intelligence to be gained from it that can really have a huge effect on your underlying business that you wouldn't know about unless you really dove into it.
I want to bring up a comment from Sheila Hensley, and she's been just peppering us with some nice things in here. And she's asking about migrating, let's see, where is it? Is it not
migrating
showing?
Sites and pages.
Yes. So you don't set up a new account, and should you use the previous code for consistency in reporting? I personally bring over the same code because I want to see the whole story all in one place. I don't start fresh.
So it can often get kind of confusing when you do a website migration, especially when your URLs change. And that is going to happen no matter what you do. I mean, there are little things you can do to kind of mitigate the damage to your analytics reporting, but it's kind of, it happens. You know, and it's unfortunate, but it happens. And that's why even when you try to migrate, or when you do migrate, you try to keep the same URLs for consistency's sake.
Right.
And that's one of those things where sometimes it will cost you a little extra to get that consistent, but it's worth it in the long run for data reporting.
And I think, I mean, that's why Stepan and I think that's one of the things we're covering, and I think our last show is about 301 redirects and things like that as well.
Yeah, we'll be talking about that a little bit, or just performance and hosting and things like that, because yeah, that's sort of the nuts and bolts. But yeah, you're absolutely right, and there are ways to handle this so the search engines don't get confused. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about so that you go from, you know, you don't have Google Analytics reporting about one page like this, and then you migrate your site, and now it starts reporting about another page like this or whatever. And you have no idea that the two of them are, you know, all of a sudden this one just stopped.
Right.
And now you have this new one, and you're like, okay, well, how do I link the two of them up? Now you can put notes, right? That's something actually I learned from you, David. You can put notes.
That's my favorite little tip and trick, actually.
So
annotation.
Expand on that. Talk about that really quick, because it's very handy, and it saved me so much frustration, especially when you have database-driven sites that don't have friendly URLs.
Yes. So I leave annotations for myself all the time. Whether you have a good big spike or a downtime or any kind of something that happens in your analytics, or a change that you've made or a change that happened outside, I leave notes for myself using these annotations, mainly because looking back 3 months from now, you won't remember what that was that caused that spike or that drop or that whatever. And it's a great way to just give that context to this data over the long period, and you can see them and they'll all lay out, and you can go, oh yeah, that's what that was. But at the same time, it's also good when it comes to you doing testing and changes. You know, they talk about A/B reports, which I'm not going to get into here because that's going to be a way bigger conversation on everything. But if you do A/B testing, you might be switching a button from red to green and seeing what the change is. Well, you would like to know on what date you made that change, and maybe what date you made that change back. And without annotations, you wouldn't really remember that. Or you might see, okay, well, where did this really good trend line start? And you go, oh, that's the day I changed my title tags. You know, annotations, great. Do them all the time.
All right. I'm going to take a brief break here to do a station identification. We are watching, or you are watching, we're not watching, we're in it. This is If I Had a Nickel, and today we are talking with David Kutcher about Google Analytics and Google Webmaster Tools and how they all play together for the success of your site. I'm here with my co-host, Stepan Hovnanian, and this is our third in our series, and we are having a blast. So welcome, everybody. We're going to continue this conversation. We were just talking about annotations in Google Analytics and how you can make notes. It's kind of like a diary of your website. It's, you know, this little journal you can make in Analytics to track when you've made changes to see how it's affecting things. So, David, back to you.
Oh, I don't know if I have more to say on annotations, so we can keep on going.
That's fine.
Well, I got a question for you, actually. So, yeah, it is kind of like a diary. Now, is there a way to just look at the annotations that you have? Like, give me a list of my annotations, and then if I click on it, let's say it'll take me to the report, or do I have to find that report and then go back to it and notice? Because I know it does either a dot, or there's something that you see on the graphs that says, yes, this has been annotated here. But is there like a list that we could?
There is, and it was the first time ever, but I discovered it just this week, which was very amusing. I didn't realize that there was actually a page that lists out all your annotations. And now I'm going to see if I can find it again, which I probably won't be able to. But you can do the search for Find Reports and More, and there actually is an annotations report that just shows you a whole diary list.
part.
That's fantastic. So now you're in the middle of it. You're kind of in the throes of everything, and then you make your notes here and there, and then you can go back on and actually have a chronology, which is probably good for those of us who want to do reporting to a committee or a team or something, because you could also kind of cross-reference any ideas that you have that you've put into the annotations with things that maybe your marketing team needed to do. Like, hey, we had this big campaign coming up, or we had this big campaign, or is everything, these are the things that we put down for our analytics. Everything's done, right? We didn't, there's nothing screwed up just to like cross-check it or whatever. So.
And especially if you have a team using your analytics, they can also put in personal ones versus ones that are meant for the whole team. So you can use it in multiple ways that way.
I know that we try and keep the shows to about 40 minutes or so, and I wanted to get back to kind of the beginning setup and the benefit of creating an analytics dashboard. People think you have to just go with the default thing that's there. Oh, this is the landing. You can customize the view, can't you, David? I mean.
Yes. So up in the top of analytics, when you go in, it starts you out with a default dashboard. But in there, you can actually import dashboards that people have created. And there's a whole library of maybe a few thousand dashboards that people have created and shared. And I've actually shared 2 on our website, on our blog. And they're, if it's an e-commerce website, you can download all these great e-commerce dashboards that people have created and customize them and use them in your own analytics, which is spectacular that people have both created them and shared them and put them up there for use. And then, once you've gotten used to that and kind of braved that whole new world of reporting, you can start creating your own. Basically, as you go through your own analytics, you can say, oh, I really like this chart that I've created down here in my demographics section, and there's going to be a little link that says add it to my dashboard, and you just pop it up there in your dashboard. And that way, when you're coming into analytics, you're not having to dive through all these different reports in order to find the things that you need. You've actually created your own custom dashboard. So it's a time saver, but also, like I said, there's all these great ones that you can download for free.
That's definitely huge, and it again speaks to the idea that we're not just going in there to look at charts. We're going in there to actually answer questions and get information and be able to make decisions based on things. So yeah, and for those of you who aren't familiar with dashboards or even these thinking like, how the hell do I import a dashboard somebody's already created? All they are it's a report that you've created a bunch of filters for. You said, okay, I've kind of customized how I want it, the information that I want to show up in this report, because that's what's important to me. And then you added it to your dashboard, like David said. So then you can take that whole thing and export it, or you could just take the one report and it's sort of like a preset almost. And then you put all of your presets together into one place, and that becomes your dashboard.
And then, like I said, chances are, if you have never used dashboards before, you've been going through and spending 20 minutes going through to find all your different reports that you like to look at. And here, you just one page. It's beautiful, beautiful thing. By the way, the annotations page, it's not where you think it would be. It's actually under the admin screen of your analytics. In the right column under View, there's the Personal Tools and Assets, and there's an Annotations page. It is in the most unlikely place you will ever find.
And that's why anybody listening to this from Google Analytics, we'd love if you changed that. Made it a little bit easier to find, because this is a great page.
Can you add it to your dashboard?
No, you can't, because it's under the admin, so you can't actually put it anywhere else. I don't know. It's in a weird place, and that's, like I said, I stumbled upon it. I was like, what? Yes.
I want to address a question. Some people have more than one website. And so here's the question to you is, when do you make the decision to set up new properties, new profiles? What if you have a domain, then you have blog.shop. And it's all the same domain, shop.mydomain.com, music.mydomain, podcast, versus here's my one project site, here is my other project site, and they're totally different domains. When do you make that decision to to put it under one umbrella or to set up new profiles?
So I take a hard look at whether they are whether I would consider them one property or different properties. If it's blog.mydomain.com, I would really consider that under the heading of it's one property. I'm using a subdomain, but it's really one property. And then within your analytics, you can use all kinds of filtering in there to separate the two out if you want to look at them separately. But I would really consider them one property.
So one number then, too.
One number. Use URL filtering to separate out the two sites, the two subdomains, if you want to look at the www subdomain versus the blog.subdomain and look at them separately that way. But I would want to look at them holistically because I would consider in that instance one property, right?
Yeah.
Like it's still my one property, but that might be the shed out back, but it's still one property. So,
do you think it's a horrible mistake though? And I'm asking this because I've done this for a couple people. They wanted it tracked separately for advertisers and reports and be able to let people in separately. So they thought. So they had me set up one for blog, one for shop.
Well, no, that in that case it might not be. It might be beneficial to set it up separately because you added these other business reasons for having to have people only given access to this subdomain, so that would make sense. But in the general use cases of, yes, my blog happens to be on a subdomain, I don't see a reason to have it as two properties.
Got it.
But with what you said, having to give people access to one but not the other, yeah, you have to separate that as two properties out.
Thank you. That really helps.
And then I just heard a story the other day of one company that had put all of their different clients under their one account instead of different accounts. So me as David, I can have and create multiple accounts for multiple clients, and each client can have multiple properties under their account.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Right? And this company made the mistake of putting all of their clients under one account, different properties. And then they're all kinds of messed up. So you have to think about the hierarchy of structure when you do this.
Yeah, that's like a hosting company or a webmaster who does the hosting, just kind of putting them all in as add-on domains to their own single hosting account, which I've had that happen to me. I've taken over a couple of clients like that, and it's like, hey, could you just give me access to the hosting? Yeah, I can't. There's another 75 clients on there too. Really? Okay. We'll try it a different way. It's gonna cost everybody more money, but we'll try it.
But it's very similar. It's that keeping it separate and keeping it all neat and compact for each company or each client or each entity, because they might not always deal with one of us. They may have to give their information to somebody else to help them. So to keep it all tidy, guys, if it's your company, make sure you control the analytics. Make sure you have the login, you have all the access, and you are the owner of it all, so that you can make the major changes. So, just one of those reminders as far as tidying up your profiles. This is a huge area that you need to have control of, and make sure it is set up. Check your sites. Check in your source code, ask your webmasters, whatever you have to, make sure you have it set up. And if you do you have access? Because if you might have it set up, and you may even, the site's been passed down from webmaster to webmaster, and you've never had access. And you might have 9 years of history.
Yeah, we've been hammering that home. In case those of you who've been watching this, these episodes here, we've been hammering that home. Like, own your stuff, and you can give access or even share passwords if you have to, but give access to the other people. And Google Analytics, Webmaster Tools, AdWords, they all have the ability to do all this stuff. So they have the ability to assign different roles, and even permissions in some cases to different features or whatever within the tool that they have. So keep that in mind, and whenever possible, say, you know what, I need this under my account, and then you grant yourself access to it. We do have a great, wow, Ryan Best just dropped a bunch of ideas into the comments, and it would be too long to bring it up in the comment tracker, but thank you, Ryan, really appreciate that. I do want to bring up a question from Cheryl Locke. Hope I said that right.
Yes.
What about someone who insists on having two URLs pointing to one site due to location, and how would you handle analytics for that? That's a Good one. That's a doozy. Fire away, David.
Well, due to location, meaning they go to this, they're just one is forwarding to the other, or I mean, like I said, you can use filters to segment out who came in to the site from this URL versus that URL, because you'd be able to see it as a unique URL, and then the URL string contains this domain or that domain. So then you'd be able to see, like I said earlier, the site holistically, but also the site based on those two entrance points. I think that's what she's getting at there. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I mean, I know I have a bunch of clients that use forwarding because they have multiple URLs for various reasons. And it is interesting to be able to see who came in via which one for numerous reasons. You know, like you might be giving a shortened URL or a whole bunch of reasons that I can't think of right now. But there are reasons.
Usually marketing purposes.
Yeah, they're mostly marketing reasons.
It's all marketing reasons.
And then, like I said, using filtering to kind of break down the URL structure to figure out, okay, who came in via what and why. But if you had segmented them as two properties, you know, there's no good way to look at two properties combined, whereas you can take one property and segment it.
That's a great way to look at it. And so, yeah, like for example, if you localize your pages, right? If your site has the ability to translate based on where the person's coming from, you would have one page which translates itself automatically. Let's just assume, and that's still one page. But then the way David's describing it, you could actually filter and say, okay, no, I want the French-speaking people. I want to talk. Let's look at what they're doing on the same page.
Right.
Cool. That's good stuff.
That's a great thing, big one to end with, but I'd like to ask David, can you give us 3 of your biggest tips, thinking that some of us are a little bit newer, that you would leave everybody with?
3 of my biggest tips.
Or maybe stats to focus on, either one of those.
Either one, you pick.
Well, stats to focus on is, and I always believe it has to be conversions. You know, you have to focus on conversions, which means you have to set up event tracking and goal tracking. You have to, and that, which gets back to our earlier conversation about your audience goals for them and for yourself. So read up on event tracking and goal tracking, set up events and goals as quickly as possible, get them going, because that's oftentimes going to lead your whole view of your website and view of your website statistics. And definitely jump in there with that. The second one is, make sure to not get bogged down in the day-to-day and minutia of changes that might happen to your site. You have to give any change an ample data set in order to get good statistics. For example, we just had the 4th of July. That, I'm sure, screwed up everyone's analytics, because instead of having a solid Monday to Friday of stats, you now had a Monday to Wednesday and a half, maybe Thursday, and then people disappeared on Friday. So if you were looking at a 1 week to 1 week comparison, that's going to completely mess you up. So you actually have to get a big enough data set when you make a change in order to make a good decision about what happened and why. Keep those things in mind when you're looking at your statistics. And the third one, I have to stretch for a good third one. Those are my 2 good ones.
Well, we don't want to strain your brain or anything. We can go with 2. It's okay.
I'll come up with a third one in a minute. But I just actually wanted to tell quickly the story we were talking about earlier of my one client who has had analytics installed on their site for something like 5 years and never bothered to look at them. They gloss over every time I mention stats. And it finally clicked on me to tell a story for how to get them involved in stats just yesterday, in fact. And it was being able to give them a story that they could relate to in order to figure out, okay, well, this actually makes sense for me. And as soon as I sent them the story, they're like, yes, go ahead, set that up, do it right now. And then I sent them the live tracking of their goal conversions, and I'm sure right now that screen is playing on their desktops, and that they are glued to that screen of, there's 10 people on our website, and 4 of them just converted a goal. And it's funny, like, sometimes what it takes in order to get someone really juiced about looking at their analytics and having to tell that story to get them interested. And it was kind of fun seeing that they were excited for the first time I've ever known them to like look at their analytics. I don't think they've even opened their analytics before in the last 3 years. So, yes.
Well, seeing your passion on this topic, I mean, I know I have clients and I help them with analytics, but I want to bring you in on some stuff because I am so excited to like, oh, you have to meet David. He is so passionate, and you just have this so dialed in. What a pleasure to have you on. How can people find you? I mean, we see confluentforums.com. Is that the best way?
confluentforums.com or David Kutcher on Google Plus is a great way. I'm always talking to people and engaging on there. So it's just under +/David Kutcher.
So, all right. Stepan, how can everybody find you, my friend?
Oh, same thing. Although I'm gonna pull one of those. Just Google me, and I'm pretty close to. I'm pretty close to capturing the entire first page of my own name. My great-grandfather and I share the same name, so there's a couple of instances where he was referenced because my family, whatever, family businesses, stuff like that. So, but beyond that, you could probably just Google me or stepanhove.com, which is a very sad attempt at having like a little name placeholder. But yeah, for the most part, I'm here on Plus. All the information that you really need to care about is here on Google Plus. So just, check me out.
If you're watching this, you'll find all of us really easily, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, you can find me too, plus Susan Finch, susanfinch.com. Pretty easy, and over there you can find all the other ways to connect with me. And we are so glad you all have been joining us during this series. We will be addressing some of the comments. There was, good guides for goal tracking. What would you recommend? Other questions like that. We will add some more links into the comments and into the details of the event, as well as the link for the gift for you guys just showing up and posting your great questions. Ryan Best, we will address all of your goodies. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. And we will be talking to you all very soon at the next If I Had a Nickel. And we will talk to you soon. And Stepan, thank you again for having me on this series with you. I'm really enjoying it.
This has been a lot of fun, and thanks again, David. This was really great information. Don't forget, everybody, to go check out his help outs because if you need more information on this, or you want to just kind of, if you got to figure out that way to get juiced up, as he said, about stats, or you need maybe that story, it's probably worth just spending a few minutes with David and figuring it out, because I totally agree. Once you understand what you can get out of this, it just makes the whole experience that much better, because everything you're doing is actually providing some kind of a return on, and that just gets really exciting.
Definitely.
All right, guys. Well, yeah. So stay in touch and keep out. Oh, if you want to be invited to the next one, which will be probably July 31st, let us know in the comments. And obviously, if you've engaged in some way, shape, or form on the event, we're gonna let you know about it anyway. Just because this is sort of an ad hoc thing we pulled together, and we don't have like a formal email list or a formal invite circle. So let us know, and we hope to see you again on If I Had a Nickel. Take care.